See anybody? All right, so we are all set for our first item. So we are hearing SCB 2289 for 52 Durham Road in Stony Creek. We have the agent registered to speak, as well as Councillor Pearson for this file.
Okay, for the agent, have you read the comments? I assume you have. And there's no interested parties, you said? Okay.
Councillor Pearson.
Yes, I'm about to say that. I said, as usual protocol, we let the councillor speak first. Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so I have no issue with this request, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased with the proposal that's there and the development that's going to take place.
Brilliant. Any questions from the committee? Pardon me? No, I was going to ask you first, then I'm going to have her summarize. No? Applicant, do you have anything you wish to say?
No, I just want to say that we're just looking to sever the property into two pieces and hopefully get this moved on quickly.
Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Move it.
Move it.
With the condition.
With the conditions, so
Yep.
I'm gonna say with the conditions.
You moved, Gaddy, seconded Switzer, all in favor? Opposed? None? Application approved, hearing adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, just, she wasn't sure the thing, so we'll just not have her on it.
I saw a hand over here a minute ago.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, we are all set for the next file. So we are hearing SCB 2291 for 34 Bridgman Lane and Stony Creek. We have the agent registered to speak, as well as Councillor Pearson and one interested party.
Okay, Matt, as usual protocol, I always like when the counselor speaks first. Are you okay with that?
Certainly.
Although I do notice that there's a comment about tabling this. So before we go any further, is that your inclination?
I would like to proceed today if we could, and I do have a brief presentation at the appropriate time to walk you through the scenario.
Okay, Maria?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Matt. I'm not sure who the other interested party is, but I received the documentation and I reviewed the mapping and the proposal, and I don't see, the need to have to table this. I think it makes it appropriate because there's a creek that runs through the middle of this in an environmentally sensitive area. I believe that they're recommending, stopping the property line and incorporating lands on the westerly side. There's just a little chunk with the lands of the owner to the west, which would make that development a little bit more inclusive, if I could put it that way. So I don't have an issue with it, Mr. Chairman. I look at it as making it a bit efficient, or this piece of land on the westerly side just becomes no man's land.
Okay, before we proceed, could I ask who the interested party is?
So we did have one interested party, Travis Skelton, registered to speak. I do not currently see them on the call, and I do not currently see them in the room. So Travis Skelton, if you are present, please make yourself known.
In the meantime, we'll have Mr. Johnson give his usual succinct but efficient presentation.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Councillor Pearson. So I'll roll through this quite quickly, but just to highlight a few things. As Councillor Pearson noted, the subject lands are bisected by a watercourse, and we do have the westerly half that is really begging for some land consolidation, and those discussions are underway with the proponent with an active development application right next door on the lands to the west. My first inclination was, okay, well, if we're going to sever it, let's sever it right down the center line of the watercourse. But we quickly learned, again, here's a shot of the existing conditions. We are designated business park in the official plan. And here we have our zoning map confirming that both halves are zoned M3, bisected by the P5 zone. And as I was saying, we quickly learned that severing this down the center line of the creek isn't the way to go, but rather to capture the entirety of the sensitive area within one property. We don't want to, the property line through that feature would be development within the feature by definition, and that's a no-no. So what we did was we had 2 site walks with the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, City of Hamilton, and our own ecologists. The feature itself, as you can see here, is very easily delineated between the farmed area and the brush. And that's what ultimately led to the staking of this proposed line. So while staff are suggesting it be tabled for the completion of the balance of the EIS, we're asking that we proceed today. And the reason for that is to allow for the continued discussions on the land consolidation with our friends next door. As soon as we have that conditional approval, we can get to that next level. And then also that's really related to the findings of the ultimate conclusions of the EIS. So, we've done the most critical step to confirm the limit of the feature. And now what we're doing is looking to proceed with the conditional approval that continues to require the final approval of the EIS. And that just gets me to sort of my last point. I have one request, and it's really just the true natural progression of an EIS where, the ultimate buffer is determined through the EIS exercise. So as it's proposed in the staff report, that the lot boundary be refined to include a 15-meter buffer and any other buffer from the woodland as per the EIS. My only ask is we say, hey, let's not preclude the natural progression of the EIS. Let's just say the lot boundary be updated to include any buffer identified through the EIS to the satisfaction of the city. So again, if you live and breathe these every day like we do, there may be pinch points in an EIS buffer. There may be areas where it is 15, but let's just let that science unfold. The hammer is still there with the manager of heritage and design to ensure we get it in the right spot. I just ask kindly that we don't preclude the findings by inserting that 15-meter requirement. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Chairman, if I could make a
Any other
comment?
questions? Please.
So just as I was saying, I think that whatever happens here, all around, it is protected still, both sides, by an EIS. And whatever happens to the development or with the developer on the west side, I don't think it'll have an impact because it will be monitored and watched over.
Okay, thank you. Committee, questions, motions?
I get the impression that what you're saying is, if this severance goes through, there's nothing you can do with it anyway until you go through that EIS process and whatever. But the severance is done. Anything likely to come out of an EIS review that would say maybe we shouldn't have severed it?
Through the chair, the purpose of the site walk was to set the stage for this severance. So the notion that that we are going to be severing this parcel was understood at the time of the site walk. There's a real understanding that the west side of this water course, without any land consolidation, will never be able to live up to its true potential. So the severance today allows the agreements to kind of become finalized with our neighbors to the west. And as Councillor Pearson noted, we have an EIS as a condition of approval to refine that line at all. And we have the development application process for both sides that will really vet that buffer further.
But you want the severance so you can sell it rather than develop it. That's basically where we are.
That's generally fair, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you for that explanation, Matt, and based on that, I'm quite okay with it and would make a motion for approval.
With the amended condition.
With the amended, yes.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried with the amended condition.
Okay, and just for clarity, that amended condition was condition 4, that the lot boundary shown be updated to include a buffer from the ESA significant woodland identified by EIS to the satisfaction of the manager of heritage and urban design. Correct? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, and we are, yes, we're all set for the next file. So we're hearing ANB 2259 and ANA 22191 for 382 South Coast Road in Ancaster. We have the agent registered to speak as well as one interested party, and staff have requested to speak first on these files.
Okay, applicant's name for the record.
Matt Johnston with Urban Solutions.
Okay, and there's a request for staff to speak first. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I was ready to go, but you know, I'm happy to follow the staff request. I recognize that it's our second time back, and I look forward to elaborating on our considerations since we were here last, and presenting at the appropriate time.
Okay, who on the staff wishes to speak?
Through you. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair. My name's Christine Fandrich. I'm a planning technician with the suburban team with development planning.
Okay, go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the planning staff, we would like to remove the conditions 1 and 2 applied to ANA 22191. This is the minor variance application. These were added in error and should only be applied to the severance, provided that it is approved. That was the only thing that we had to add.
That wasn't too bad, Matt.
Not at all. I'm glad to let staff go first with that update. And I acknowledge that, and thank you for letting me know about that beforehand, Christine.
Matt, before you go, there is an interested party. Did you want to do a presentation first, or would you like to hear from the interested party first?
If I could ask, if the interested party is the owner of 396, if that's correct, they were in attendance our last time here.
Or any of you three are virtual? Okay, I see people, so you never know.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My camera's off. I'm the owner of 396. So if you wish for me to speak, but I would like to hear what the proposal would be, so I at least I know if I'm saying off like something that would be like unbefitting of what you're going to propose.
Okay, fair enough. So Matt,
Certainly.
do your pitch, and then we'll speak to this gentleman shortly thereafter.
Thank you. So good afternoon again. Again, it's Matt Johnston, registered professional planner with Urban Solutions, here on behalf of Ali Alashi and Omar Khan, who are joining us virtually today. And we are back for the second time round. And at a glance, I can appreciate things may have not changed to the extent that people were expecting when we were sent back and tabled this when we were here earlier this summer. So I just want to give you a little bit of perspective on our thought process on how we brought this back. And I'm going to share my screen now. So just a reminder of the, oh, now I'm sharing. A reminder, the subject lands, we have this old remnant agricultural parcel on the west side of Southcote here in Ancaster. And what we're doing is looking to sever the application. Here's a look at it from the street. And there were sort of two things that we heard last time round, and there's concerns in the staff report over the policy framework, the existing secondary plan, the existing zoning and process. So we have that process question to talk about, and then we also have just the compatibility question. You know, are 3 lots appropriate here? There was a suggestion that perhaps 2 would be more appropriate. And these are things that we thoroughly considered in our time away from you and when we made the decision to come back. So we've got this remnant agricultural zone, not really reflective of the site context. We're surrounded by R4 zoning to our south and to our east, and we have that old Ancaster ER zone to our north. From a secondary plan perspective, you can see how we're in a distinctly different zone or designation from that ER zone. So to our north, we have the low density residential existing, and everything to the south and west is that low density residential 1 designation. And within that designation, we have a whole range of lot fabrics, many of which are consistent with what's proposed today, despite the fact that the secondary plan says 15-meter lots. There you can see a number of dwellings all well below 15. And we even have street towns, despite the fact that that's not specifically identified here in the secondary plan that says single detached dwellings only. We have the 50-meter cap. And then we also have a density of 18 units per gross net hectare as our guideline in that secondary plan. Then we look at the proposal, and we're just shy of, we're basically 0.4 acres. And at 3 lots, this translates to 18.3 units per hectare. And while we were, so we're in keeping with the density of the secondary plan, we're in keeping with the proposed built form of the secondary plan, and we're coming in with lots that are 12.16 and 13.7. That does come with a range of variances. That the variances now again are in relation to the agricultural zone down to what would be more reflective of a lot fabric that we're proposing. So some of these metrics seem relatively large, but the intent of the zone in an agricultural use is to permit single detached dwellings with zone regulations that fit the context. So you get these larger zone regulations where that zone is expected. But when you have a remnant piece like this, we feel it's appropriate to amend those regulations to fit the context, and that's what we have before you. Now, we really looked at the notion of, do we just do 2 lots here? And you know, the suggestion that maybe these lots are too much for the area, and this is what I'd like to really touch on. You know, we're talking about 2 45-foot lots and 1 40-footer that's proposed. These aren't small small lots, 45, 40 footers, very, very much in keeping with the surrounding context, although slightly smaller than what you might see right on Southcote, certainly fit the context. What doesn't really work is the idea of two 65-foot lots. We know every policy direction is saying to maximize the use of our urban land. And if we were to come back here and just simply do two 65-foot lots, we would have two monster homes that would be really unaffordable. They would be really limited to those select upper tier, 1%ers of the community. We have an opportunity to bring on three great homes by a great builder in a way that is really compatible. We made some minor adjustments to the lots that you saw the first time we were here. Really what we were doing is evening out the lot fabric. So rather than 2 15 meters and a 12, we've made the adjustment shown here. So it's 13.7 for two lots and 12.16. I touched on all the policy framework that says we're on the right track with a proposal like this. We know that 40% of our growth is supposed to happen right in neighborhoods like this through applications like this. It's right there in our official plan. And, we talk about what's appropriate, 3 versus 2. Yes, there's 15-meter lots in the vicinity. But what all the policy framework is saying is maximize opportunities for intensification that's done in a compatible way. And to suggest that two 45-footers next to a 50-footer is incompatible, I think is really a restrictive approach to the question. The definition right out of the official plan says compatibility means land uses and building forms that are mutually tolerant, capable of coexisting together in harmony, should not be narrowly interpreted to mean the same as or even similar to. This type of language is to allow for singles to be next to street towns. We see that change happening in our framework that the council's put forward. So all in all, it's my suggestion that 3 lots certainly are appropriate here. There's a suggestion that we should do an official plan and zoning amendment as a condition of approval. And in my respective submission, this old remnant ag zone can be easily updated through the residential zoning process at the appropriate time. And this is a question that we've talked about many times in the past here at committee. On my final slide, I have 3 examples where the committee dealt with essentially the same thing. Out in Stony Creek, Winona area, we had lands in an ND zone. The staff report said, hey, we have a process issue. In this case, the committee approved the application and there was a third-party appellant. And this went to a full hearing and the OLT agreed that you can massage something like an ND zone to bring this housing on stream now. Another very similar application in the agricultural zone in Ancaster, south side of Jerseyville Road, if you know the area. Committee of Adjustment, this was not one I was party to, but Committee of Adjustment heard an application in 2018. Same process concerns raised in the staff report. This was approved by the Committee of Adjustment as proposed. Then at an application I was involved with just a little further west, this might be a little more fresh. We have one that was exact same scenario. Concerns raised by staff on process. In this case, the committee denied it based on concerns from area residents and the process issues. Ultimately, we went to the full hearing and the OLT said, yes, we can modify this agricultural zone to accommodate what was really a single detached dwelling lot. Again, despite the process concerns raised by staff. So with that in mind, I do feel that we have a proposal that meets the policy framework and that is certainly compatible. We have an interface, whether it's 2 lots or 3 lots next to our neighbor to the south, that interface is really going to be the same. So I'd kindly ask the committee to support this, negate the need for a costly OLT hearing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, did you ask in there for conditions 4 and 5 to be removed? Is that what you had said, or you didn't ask for that?
Sorry, thanks for clarifying, Jamila. Yes, condition 4 and 5 relate to the need for an official plan and zoning amendment. And as we've learned through our OLT hearings, we can continue to accommodate proposals like this without those changes being made.
Would the interested party wish to speak at this time?
Yes, please. Firstly, thank you for the committee for allowing me to speak and air my side. So from the previous meeting, I think I've expressed how hard it was for us to actually find a house that we really liked. It's with respect to the side yards. It's very rare for one to actually find a property with a good side yard, especially in Hamilton. So I think I've looked for at least 30 houses before I actually found the one that I have. In fairness, I know that, I think you were mentioning, there were properties to the north of our property which actually fits the same lot sizes that you were proposing, but to the south of the property that you were proposing, I don't know if you would be able to compare the property that you're saying that you're proposing, the very small side yards. So that's my only concern, and I don't know if I've expressed myself enough. It's a bit frustrating. I know it's your property, and you guys are looking at, you bought the property in order to make money out of it, and that's fair, and that's a given, and that's what a lot of people would want. But in fairness, we've been living there. I've been there for 10 years. I'm quite happy with it, with the property I have, and now for something that I've cherished, and then something will change that. It would be, I think it's a bit disheartening for that to happen. I know that there's a lot of ways for this to push through, but I'm imploring the kind committee to actually just reconsider, like our side of things. I know we're just a single property owner there, but I don't think I'd be able to find a property with a good side yard, because that's one of the things that I was looking for in a house. And if this changes, then yeah, all the efforts that we've done, that we've had looking for a property that we really really like and it's ideal for us, is now, it's all for naught.
Okay, thank
Chair,
you.
if I could quickly just comment on that. I can appreciate change is hard. It is, and it would represent a notable change to what you're used to. I guess what I would add, though, is despite the request for the variance down to 1.2 meters, I'd like to just remind the committee that the R4 zone that this gentleman's lands are located in, and what would be the natural zone to place this in, comes with a 1.2 meter side yard. So I'm not really requesting that side yard be any lower than it would be if this site was more appropriately zoned. So that 1.2 request is really consistent with what would be fair to expect if the city put this in an R4 zone. So again, that's where I say, yes, it represents change. It is a variance that I'm asking for from the agricultural zone, but had this site be more appropriately zoned, we'd be looking at a 1.2 meter interface there. So that would be my response to our neighbor to the south. Thank you.
And one thing that crosses my mind as well is whether you build 2 houses, 3 houses, or one gigantic house, either way, he's not going to have the side lot line that he had before. He's going to have a wall that goes up to the lot anyways, whether it's 2 or 1 or 3, he's still going to be pinched on that side, which is unfortunate because I understand the position, but Questions from the committee? Maggie?
Yes, I actually was leaning towards approval of this application for the reasons that you gave. However, I'm not in favor of removing the requirements for zoning bylaw amendment or official plan amendment. I think that it is zoned for agricultural, and that would be a change of use. So I would be all right with the approval, subject to the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay. Anyone else? Tom?
How does this presentation differ from what you were putting before us last time?
Thank you, through the chair. There were concerns raised last time, and that led to our decision to table the application. And what we did in the meantime was we really considered the 2-lot scenario and moved away from it and dismissed it for the reasons I outlined earlier. The other thing that we did was we more evenly spread out the lot fabric. So earlier we had one lot that was slightly larger. Now we've really more evenly spread out that frontage evenly across all 3 parcels. So we're really continuing to move on with 3 lots, but with an even spread to the lot, or more even spread to the lot frontage. The other aspects of the application for setbacks remain the same because they're really introducing residential regulations to that agricultural zone. So we've modified it slightly. We've considered that notion of what does 2 lots look like, what does it really achieve, and in a lot of ways we didn't think it was checking the right boxes. It creates 2 exclusive lots, for those sort of 1%ers. 3 lots brings on real development that can be used by good families in Ancaster. And I think the earlier comment on supporting the application, but keeping those 2 conditions. And I appreciate that. My one thought would just be as a reminder that the OLTs considered this very same question. And what they find is that the intent of the agricultural zone is twofold. It's to permit single detached dwellings as a standalone use without any actual agricultural operation, and then of course to permit agricultural type uses. So understanding that an ag zone, despite its name, it can accommodate single detached dwellings as a principal use, and in that sense, it's not quite the change of use that might be indicative by the sound of the name change.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else?
If I may, it seems to me that I would have no difficulty in effect allowing a residential use of a little island of what's obviously a little island of agricultural property in the middle of what is now zoned residential. It's kind of a fluke that it's stayed there as agriculture, I suppose. But what still troubles me is the fact that we're trying to squeeze 3 lots into an area that's covered by 2 lots in virtually all of the surrounding area. So what you've got is an island of 3 narrow lots in a sea of wide lots. For the sake of creating one more residential property and obviously making more money for the developer, at the cost of A, the neighbor, but B, the whole character of the area. It's not compatible because it just doesn't fit in my view. And I don't think I'd be in favor of the 3 lot scenario. I would be in favor of a 2 lot scenario.
Thank you. Anyone else? Motion?
Move to deny.
Okay, is there a seconder? Okay. All in favor of deny? All opposed? Okay, 3-3 split. I am opposed to the motion to deny, so that motion is defeated.
Not with a surprise.
Go ahead.
Motion for approval. With 4 and 5.
Okay, so you're
So
keeping
as
it,
conditions as on.
the ones that Maggie alluded to. A seconder? All in favor? 3, all opposed? I split, application approved. Hearing is yours.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we are all set for the next file. So we are hearing ANA 22279 for 50 West Crest in Ancaster. We have the owners registered to speak, as well as 2 or 3 interested parties.
Okay, could I have the applicant's name for the record, please?
Sorry, are you the owner? Please come forward to the table. You'll sit there and then just make sure that you press the button so that you're unmuted when you're speaking.
The one with the face on it. Yeah. Okay, your name, please?
Natalie Booth.
Okay. And the interested parties, are they virtual or are they back there? You're the interested parties? Okay, you'll have an opportunity to speak in one moment. Okay, did you read the comments that were posted? Okay. Typically, we find it expedient to have the interested parties speak. That way you can hear what they say, and then in your response and presentation, you can address their concerns. Are the 2 of you here together or separately? Together? Who's the spokesperson there? Okay, did they come to the front? Yeah. Okay, if you wouldn't mind coming to the front and give us your name and address. Those 2 chairs, yep. Sure, absolutely. No? Oh,
Because we have committee members. Sorry, we can't have physical presentation materials. It had to be submitted in the comments package previously. We don't have the ability to ensure full public
yeah,
hearing.
you can
Okay.
read through it
Yeah.
and sort of.
Yeah,
So
if
grab a
it was
seat, guys.
previously submitted, then you can refer to it because the committee members would have it. Yeah.
Okay, could I have your names for the record, please?
So, great, just make. There's an arrow and just, yeah.
My name is Stephen Quitt. I am Jamie Weisfeld's father. And my name is Stephen Quitt. I am Jamie Weisfeld's father. I have a City of Hamilton general contractor's license for the last 40 years here, and just know a little bit about building.
Okay, and ma'am, your name?
I'm Jamie Weisfeld. I'm the owner of 15 Bunting Place.
Okay, so what are your concerns?
So I think the main concern is basically the size of the building built on the pretty well the property line. So
Unmute yourself.
we would be looking at a building that is 400 square feet plus a loft, which is probably another 150 square feet, about 650 square feet. And along with gazebo, which is, I guess, 320 square feet, which, although it may be open now, it could be closed in the future date. And it'd be changing the bylaw, I guess, from 7.5 meters to 1.2, which is basically represents about 80% of the entire space between there. And they would be looking at basically a building in the backyard. They bought the property because of the magnificent landscaping that was there. And this is going in a rather barren area where there's no plants and trees, although for 8 months of the year, it is barren. And of course, 4 months in the summertime, it is partially covered by trees, or greenery, I should say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to say anything further?
Is this on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I have the same view from the entire rear of my house as well as my upstairs. So whenever we look out to our backyard, we're going to see a large building of logs as well as the building beside it. And it's right at the fence where the property line is. And I just think it's very unfair that that should be our rear view when we bought the house for the purpose of the beautiful landscaping and scenery.
So if I might just add that I think that the bylaw I think is 7.5 meters, and if it's anywhere within the bylaw, which generally represents everybody in the city, then that would be fine. But moving it is just not fair to everybody.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you like to give your presentation and/or respond to their concerns?
Sure. Thank you. So with the shape of my lot, I have never done one of these before, but I'm assuming everybody has had the attachments and has seen my lot. So because I have a 5-sided lot, I have two rear lot lines that runs the entire length of my backyard, as well as what we're talking right today as the rear, up against 15 Bunting Court. So I don't have a lot of options where I could put it. If I go within the bylaw of 7.5 meters from this side, rear lot line number 1 and 2, it actually would place any building smack dab in the middle of my yard. So we looked at our backyard, and the best place that we saw fit to put a building would be at the far end that does abut my neighbor's house, because on the other side, it runs lengthwise, and there's a tree there that is probably 70 feet tall. And we did have in mind that we did not want to disrupt any of the natural habitat that's already there, and the natural buffer of trees and bushes that run between our two properties. We did not want to touch any of that at all. The one place that they're speaking of that is a little bit more sparse, and they sent a photograph of it. I took pictures myself and didn't realize they had to be submitted beforehand. But it is what I think you call a scrub bush, and it has been in full sort of foliage for the last number of years. There's been some changes in the backyard next door, and they had to take down a tree, and I don't know whether the root system has been disrupted, but that's why it is showing to be bare at the moment. I can replace some shrubbery there to put something there, but there's literally a window of, approximately probably 6 feet that they can see through to my yard. The height of the building, they would be able to see because they are lower than myself. We looked at where to put this gazebo and what we're calling a pool shed, the log cabin style, and the rear of my yard at the end of the pool as it sits right now, it's basically unusable space running between the pool and the fence line. We've tried to do a number of different things with that area. We've tried a vegetable garden and a whole bunch of different ways to utilize that space in our yard. And we think that the best way for us to utilize that spot would be to put a gazebo there so we can have seating area at the same level as our pool. honestly, it would look better than it looks now with having a gazebo there. But the purpose of this building, well, let's go to the placement of it still. We also have a septic bed in the middle of our yard, which is still used for rainwater. So we can't put anything, very, very heavy on top of that because we would be then compromising our septic bed. And our house is also on an odd angle within our lot. So building a larger a larger accessory building up close to our home doesn't really make sense either. We do have a small shed at the top of our yard, but our house is actually within the setback of 7.5 meters as it sits right now. It's already in that zone. I've also noted two specific houses around the corner who are building their primary dwellings on a rear lot line of 1.5 meters on Linda Lane. One place had their side lot changed to a rear lot line after the property was severed, and the other one is currently under construction right now at 500 Linda Lane, and they're building their primary residence with square footage of 3,400 square feet with it at the 1.5 meter lot line to that. So that there are exceptions. They're primary dwellings as opposed to an accessory building. We had wanted to put something in our yard mainly for storage. It is a large storage because there would be a small little workshop downstairs. And upstairs in this loft, if we were able to go ahead with the height, it would be used for storage and also storage of some scouting equipment for our local scout group that we've been involved with for the last 30 years. We're not able to meet at the one church anymore, so we have to find some places to put some of the equipment. So I think everything else has basically been outlined in the documentation that I had sent. So that was the,
Thank you.
if anybody
That
has
makes
any
sense.
questions.
Can I ask the committee if they have any questions at this time? Mel?
Yes, I attended your property. There was nobody home the other day, so I did have a little look about your backyard there from the fence row. I also went to 15 Buttonham Place and looked up from their side too. And the biggest thing I look at here right now is the height of these buildings. They are quite a bit over what the legal lot is, so that's my concern, whether you can lower that, John, so it wouldn't be as expensive in looking up into the property from behind there.
Okay, they'll make all the questions and you can have final comments. Go ahead, Tom.
As far as the pool building goes, you're saying you need the extra height for storage for scout equipment? Can that not be stored somewhere else other than your property?
Sure. You asked the direct question, so go ahead.
Okay. The problem is getting people to volunteer to do these things. The group we've been involved with the group since, my mother-in-law was involved with the group. It's been years and years, and there's nobody else. That would be part of the reason why we would be putting some of the equipment up there. It's now in my basement, which has overtaken my laundry room and my workshop. We're just looking to further utilize our home. We don't have one of these monster homes. We've thought about renovating and expanding our home and putting an addition on our house, which other people have done within my court itself. And a lot of other people, when they sell their home, what's happening in our neighborhood is that they're being demolished and monster homes are being built in their place. That is happening in every other home in my neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. So I also enjoy where we live. I enjoy the aesthetics of it, and I also value my neighbors' opinions. So, if we were to sell, they could be faced at having a monster home placed on my lot or two, because I do have a very large lot. I'm trying to, do the things within keeping of the neighborhood and keep our house the way that it is.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Go ahead, Tom. Mr. Chairman, it seems to me that you have concerns with aesthetics, but so do your neighbors. And it just strikes me that they shouldn't pay the price of your wanting to be a good citizen, if that's what the wording is. This would all seem to be less, for want of a better word, objectionable if these buildings were the same height, the structures are the same height as what the bylaw requires. I look at an aerial photo, there's lots of pools in that area. Everybody else seems to have a pool. We don't know that anybody else has had to exceed the bylaw requirements. And, you know, the question just keeps ringing in my mind, why should you?
Okay, thank you, Tom. Anyone else? Maggie?
Yes, I actually have two questions, one for the applicant and one for staff, if there's any staff available. You have two other accessory buildings on the site. Are they staying, or are you going to demolish those?
We were going to keep the two that were there.
So you're going to have 4 accessory buildings?
Yes, we can remove the one gazebo that we would take down afterwards, or the shed. We haven't really decided. It's something that we could think about.
Is there staff available to answer a question on area? Yes. Yes, I'm interested in knowing if there is a maximum square footage for accessory buildings. And if there is, if this exceeds it, but since there are going to be 4 accessory buildings.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Morgan from Development Planning. Through the chair, yes, there is a maximum. I believe it's 45 square meters, but I'll have to double check with our zoning staff. And all the accessory structures on the site would need to be within this 45 square meter gross floor area. So that's a question that we can ask zoning staff to confirm.
Okay, and in that case, if there is a maximum of 45 square meters, should there be a variance to increase the square footage as well? So is that, is there a missing variance, that's basically?
Through the chair, yes, there would need to be a variance if the gross floor area of all the accessory structures is over 45 square meters.
Okay, thank you. I think that I'm also not in favor of approving the increased height. I think that it's, considering how close it is to the property line, I think it's excessive. And also, as we found out, there's going to have to be another variance for gross floor area for the accessory buildings. So I am wondering whether this should be tabled so that we could sort out these issues.
As for the square footage, I included it in the package and it was within the allowable amount. I can't remember. I can look it up. I have it in my email for the allowable square footage for accessory building use. But it's on, like, my square footage is documented here in attachment 4.
It looks like,
I would just have to look at the bylaw.
looks like one of them is 6 meters by 6 meters, which is 36 square meters. And the other one is 6 meters by 4 meters, which is 24 square meters, which is more than 45 square meters.
I think it was 95 though, 90 or 95 for
which
accessory.
is twice as big as the 45 permitted.
No. The permitted amount, I believe. Like, I have it in my phone if I can look at it. It was sent to me by the city hall.
Okay, well, square footage aside, one of the things that has been brought up by 2 of the members of the committee is the height issue, where the bylaw is 4.5, you're asking for 5.7. Both have mentioned they like to be within the bylaw limit, but given my experience on this committee, if you were looking for 5.0 or 5.1 or 4.9 instead of 4.5, maybe there wouldn't be as big of a concern and that to be some form of massaging at that time. So I don't know if you necessarily want to proceed where it's going to be turned down completely just because you're keeping it at the 5.7, when maybe you could redesign, have this tabled, bring it back with something a bit more in line with what everyone's thinking, and then it could be voted on at that time without the necessity of doing a whole new application and maybe some chance to speak with your neighbors again or staff. Just throwing that out for you.
Would that,
Nancy?
My concern rings the same as my colleagues here, and I am going to support Margaret's suggestion for tabling, so I will make a motion to table without their agreement. I don't want to deal with it today.
Okay, is there a seconder for that motion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, so the application is going to be tabled. You're within your rights to scale back or redesign, or it might even be a good idea to have something concrete showing the square footage doesn't exceed based on your last, maybe chat with the neighbors and come back and whenever you have that done, and then we can hopefully vote on it without so much acrimony or concern. Hearing's adjourned, tabled.
sorry, can I just ask one question? Was there, so as for the placement of the building, that seems to be of no concern right now? Like, if we're coming back, I don't want to come back and then have everybody,
Well,
I just don't know how this works.
Speaking for myself, that's all I can do, obviously. I wouldn't have a problem, given the topography. The whole idea is that these people shouldn't be looking at
That's fine.
something.
Yeah.
So if it's down below tree level, it could, and 1.5 meters or whatever it is from the lot line, I don't see how they can object, and that's something that I would have no trouble approving, speaking for myself.
And a person can still object because
Of
someone
course.
may not want anything under any circumstances, but that's what this committee does. We
Yes.
look at what's reasonable, no matter who's happy or not, and come to a decision. So hearing's adjourned. We'll see you in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whenever it gets done. And you'll be notified as well of the amended date. Okay, thank you. And ma'am, if you wanted to submit anything further or update what you're going to give us, have it to us for the next one, then it'll be in front of us before your little handout there. Okay.
All right, we're all set for the next file. So we're hearing HMA 22228 for 195 East 8th Street in Hamilton. We have the agent registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Agent's name for the record, please.
Len Angelucci Design.
Okay, did you read the comments?
I did.
Anything you wish to say?
Yes. So just maybe a little clarification on zoning comment 1. It says eaves and gutters may project into the required side yard setback of not more than 1/2 its width or 1 meter, whichever is lesser. Does that include the soffit and the gutter combined? There's somebody from zoning that could maybe shed light on that.
So zoning staff are not on the call. I'm not sure that planning staff are able to comment on that.
Okay. Just because the architectural drawings show an eave of 8 inches, right? So just that alone would require a minor variance, right? And then if we were to have the gutter as well, that's putting us at 0.33 of a meter. The side setback there on that side is only 0.36. I don't know how to proceed because it seems like that would require minor variance.
Okay, did you, when you received the comments on Tuesday, did you contact zoning staff about that question?
I have not yet. I can.
So do you want to table this to clarify?
Yeah, if that's the only way to proceed without having to apply for another minor variance, I see no other choice then, right?
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Move to table.
Seconder? All in favor? Better safe than sorry. Application tabled.
I agree. Thank you, everyone.
There's a.
For the record? You just.
There's a.
I need more cues.
There you go. Perfect.
There's an item on here that says, where did I read it? No, planning staff have reviewed the drawing and with building staff and are requesting the variance to be corrected to the following. Can we get that correction also made at the same time?
Yep, when it goes back, they can make
And
that.
that way it wouldn't show up in our next recommendations. Thank you.
All right, so we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22215 for 104 East 9th Street in Hamilton. We have the agent registered to speak as well as 2 interested parties.
Okay, who's the applicant or agent of record? Are we on the grid?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Yeah. My name is Arman Kapsuya. I'm the general contractor for that property, for the project.
Okay, did you read the comments posted?
Yes, we did.
Okay, now there's 2 interested parties. I'd like to ascertain who they are and what their concerns are. So may I ask at this time?
Yeah, so we'll hear from Lee Barensey first.
Hi, it's actually myself and my husband Darcy are on the call. We live next door. So if Darcy could go forward, he's got all the information. We were just both on the call in case one of us had to jump off for work or something.
Okay, so what are your concerns?
Good afternoon. My name is Darcy Millen. We live directly south of the applicant. When we got notified that there was going to be a project next door, we had spoken to the neighbors and everything seemed fine up until the point where the contractor came and started digging the hole for the addition. The hole was dug very, very close to the property line. It ended up being on the property line. And I had concerns because our fence had fallen in and about 2 foot by 3 foot section under our deck of our land had fallen into that hole as well. Subsequent to that, we had some water issues and our foundation was compromised a little bit. We understand that we didn't have a problem with the addition to begin with. I called the city inspector to come and have a look. He came and did some measurements and he said that it wasn't right. It wasn't correct. Now they did have a permit apparently, but the city inspector thought that something was off. He double checked and apparently there were two applications submitted. And from what he told me, the application that was approved was incorrect. And in the meantime, the contractor started to pour the footings and the foundation walls of concrete. And that's where the project has stopped as of right now. So I tried to have a dialogue with the city inspector and the neighbor. The city inspector went next door to ask if he'd be willing to do that, and he declined. So a solution at that time wasn't possible. And we've kind of been in limbo since. My concern also is it's the sheer proximity to our property. The houses are already extremely close together. I think the eaves troughs themselves are within 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches of each other. So extending this addition back has created issues with my foundation and water coming into my basement. I'm assuming because the houses are quite old. And there's also a fissure in my lawn about 3 feet on my property line where the land has started to sink in towards his property. The contractors did backfill it, but that was only after the cement had cured. And now I'm having issues with water and foundation work. And my other concern is apparently there is a window going on the south side of this addition, which creates a privacy issue for us because they would be looking directly into our yard. I don't know if that's in fact true, but that's what I was told by the inspector.
Thank you. Is there another interested party?
Those were the two interested parties.
Okay, applicant, do you wish to comment on what you've just heard?
Yes, yeah, if I can just say something about that too. So yeah, because we had when we passed the permit, my architect passed the permit, and yeah, like we got approved. That's when we start, putting the foundation in there. The first inspection when we had the footing, they gave us the go to pour the footing, so we did. But then after we put the foundation, that's when the inspector realized that something was off. So that's when, that thing all started. But I mean, our thing right now is because now we have the wall in there, so we're trying to, apply and hoping that, we can get that adjustment for, because right now for that addition, the minimum setback required is 1.15, and we're asking if we can, make it 0.89 for the addition, which is also still like compared to the existing right now, it's still farther in from the property line. So right now, yeah, we're just hoping and waiting. We're looking forward for the approval.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee? Questions, concerns? Tom?
Based on the drawings that we were looking at, the addition is not closer. In fact, it's further away from the property line than the one-story residence.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand how there can be a problem. Maybe, perhaps the problem is in the execution. That is, the ultimate building is going to conform, but the builder, in the course of construction, has excavated perhaps somewhat more property than he should have, which is beyond anything we can do about it.
Well, we were told by the city inspector that the drawings that were submitted were not accurate and that whoever the architect or designer was used the side of our house as the property line, which was not accurate, which is why it is so close to our property and now causing foundation and water issues in our basement. So continuing to add an addition with an additional eaves trough that will also flow directly into our backyard is of significant concern to us because of the damage that's already been done. You can't even walk between the two houses. That's how close the structures are to one another.
If I may, even if we approve, if we approve the request for variance, if what's being built isn't consistent with that variance, then that's a whole different problem. If they poured the foundation closer to the property line than what the drawing shows, then perhaps something needs to be done to move it back. That's not your neighbor's problem. It's the problem of the contractor or the applicant.
Exactly.
If in fact the addition is where it's shown on the drawings, then a backfilling once the foundation is poured would probably solve the problem.
Yeah.
But we're now in a situation where we don't seem to have all the facts. If the building inspector says that the foundation is being poured in the wrong place, that's not something we can do anything about.
Yeah, we have Nancy wishing to speak.
Thank you. What I'm hearing isn't really a decision that we would make as a committee. It sounds like it's an insurance issue by the contractor that's doing the work. And while I respect your position, the neighbor, this isn't a decision that we would be making. We're just here to talk about whether or not the two variances are within reason, and they seem to be. The fact that there's been some issues with the construction, I believe would be set back to the contractor's insurance so that your property is remediated before it gets any worse.
if in fact a deed exists. Anyone else?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Nancy on that. I mean, it's the contractors and the liability, what they're building it wrong or whether it's right or not. But the contractor's done damage, and I think that goes right back to the contractor's insurance. It's nothing to do with what we
Yeah,
can do
but the
here.
variance, as it's stated, is
Yeah, the variance we're just
reasonable.
dealing with, but I feel sorry for the neighbor, but that's not what we can settle. It's got to be insurance claim to go against the contractor or the next door neighbor.
But
If I may,
No, sorry, it's committee members who are speaking now. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I have David.
Well,
Sorry, we have David wishing to speak.
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I think the variance is minor in nature. It's basically 1 foot. And the fella could probably not even need a variance for this and be 1 foot off there. So at the time, I make a motion for approval, please.
Sorry, are you making the motion now? Okay.
Yes, the time is now.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, motion for approval seconded.
Nancy?
All in favor? Opposed? Application approved, hearing adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're all set for the next file. So we are hearing HMB 2288 and HMA 22274 for 533 Catherine Street North in Hamilton. We have the agent registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Matt?
Good afternoon, members of committee. Privileged to be here on behalf of Gateway Solutions. We're happy with the staff report and the proposed conditions of approval, and I'm available for any questions if need be.
That's a change. Nothing? No changes? Modify a condition? Nothing? Archaeological?
And that's
Okay.
too many questions away.
We're all good. We only ask for changes when we think they're appropriate. So
Just kidding.
these conditions as drafted are all good.
Motion for approval.
For both applications?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, accepted, seconded. Mel, all in favor for both? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Got to give him a bit of a hard time every once in a while. He gives us a hard time every once in a while.
All right, and we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22275 for 838 Beach Boulevard in Hamilton. We have the owners registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Okay, applicant's name for the record, please.
Hi, sorry. My husband and I, Ben Chamberlain, are here. I believe that his name might be the primary name, Benjamin Chamberlain, that's attached to the record.
Okay. Did you read the comments posted?
Yes, we did.
Okay, anything you wish to say or any questions from the committee?
I don't have any comments at this time. I don't know if Ben does.
No, I have no comments. I believe we responded to the comments in an email. I don't know if you received those or not.
Okay.
Move it.
Move.
Move it.
Seconded. Vern, all in favor? Opposed? None? Carried.
Okay, sorry, I think I had different movers and seconders, Mr. Chair.
We had Mel and Vern.
Mel and Vern, okay, yeah. I think I saw Bob first, so that's fine.
You're done.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we're all set for the next file. So we're hearing HMA 22282 for 132 Albany Avenue in Hamilton. We have the owners registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Applicant's name for the record, please.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Joanne Jackson Fry, and my husband's name is Samuel Jackson Fry.
Like that. Did you read the comments?
I have a piece of paper here, yes.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions or concerns? Mel or Vern?
Move it, and I think Bob would like to second it because we haven't heard from him.
Bob, are you up for seconding?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Application's approved.
Okay, so just to clarify, so I am being allowed to, or we are being allowed to not have the parking and also zero landscaping. Am I correct?
Yep. Yes.
Thank you very
Subject to an
much.
appeal, but as long as it goes through the appeal period, you're good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
And we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22273 for 15 Fullerton Avenue in Hamilton. We have the owners registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Applicant's name for the record, although I saw it on the TV earlier today.
That's because I don't know how to use the computer very good. Baldy Greco.
Okay, any interested parties? None?
Nope.
Did you read the comments, Faldy?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that the height is 9.322 meters, which is way below the permitted height.
Okay, great. Any questions from the committee? Move it, Mel, seconded. Not Mel Vern, seconded. Mel? Why not? Sure. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None? Application approved.
Thank you.
Hearing adjourned.
Okay, and we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22249 for 837 King Street East in Hamilton. We have the agents registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Hey, who is speaking on behalf of Design Plan Services, Inc.?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Kimberly Harrison McMillan with Design Plan Services.
Beautiful. You read the comments, I assume?
Yes, we have, and we understand that staff are supportive. We have no concerns, and we're happy with staff's position.
That's what we like to hear. Concerns from the committee?
Move it.
Move it. Seconded. David? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Seeing none. And just that's as amended per zoning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That was an easy one. That's the old TD Bank, right? Oh, no, Bank of Montreal. Bank of Montreal, yeah.
All right, and we are all set for the next file. We are hearing HMA 22278 for 27 Stevens Street in Hamilton. We have the owner registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Okay, is the owner there? That's you? I forgot to look.
Yes, thanks. My name is Joël Anthony Forget, or Forget.
I know, I'm just making a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, you read the comments? You're good with what you saw?
Yes, the only comment that I have is that the porch is going to be unenclosed. You had those questions.
David?
I'm good with it. Motion for approval, please.
Okay, seconded. Vern, all in favor? Opposed?
Seeing none?
None? Très bien.
Merci tout le monde. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. All right, and we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22277 for 42 Ray Street South in Hamilton. We have the agent registered to speak and no interested parties. We do have the agent wishing to speak first.
Okay, Mr. Tran, you're the speaker.
Sorry, I think you're just muted.
You're muted, my friend.
It's working on it.
Oh, sorry, I thought I would have figured that out by now. My apologies.
Okay, so you've read the comments. You probably noticed that they're not bad, but some of them are not favorable, and I'm sure you want to address those for the benefit of the committee.
Yes, absolutely. So good afternoon, Chair, members of committee and planning staff. So I'm Andy. I'm representing the owners, Rick and Ellie Quinn, the owners of 42 Ray Street South. So I would like to ask the committee if we can table this application to a future hearing due to two of the minor variances in this application not supported due to additional legal documentation that was required in the form of an easement document. And we feel confident that support would be provided if we were able to provide that appropriate documentation.
Motion for tabling? I'll second. Move, second. All in favor? Application table. Just contact the committee office when you're ready to roll and we'll get it on the next available agenda.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye. Making up for lost time.
Okay, and we're all set for the next file. We're hearing HMA 22281 for 1280 Main Street West in Hamilton. We have the agent registered to speak as well as one interested party.
We have Mr. Folletta, so it'll usually be an orderly application. How was your trip to Italy?
It was great. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. It was great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, you had someone fill in for you while you were gone. That's the only reason I remember it. Now, we have an interested party. Can I ask who that may be? Oh, there we go.
Come forward to the table.
Okay. Do you mind if this gentleman speaks first?
Yeah, I would prefer it. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, you need to make sure that you're unmuted.
Well, usually we like to know what your concerns are, and then the applicant has a chance to address those concerns, so it's not a back and forth ping pong.
Sure. Let me look at my.
All right.
I know this gentleman, it's Mr. Livingston, and he's been in my building since before I've been there, and I've been there for 33 years.
Okay.
Your brother's in the same building.
And I know this, Mr. Folletta, David, right?
Yes,
Right.
and his brother's in our building too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Centennial Law.
Okay, great. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I represent Crow, the concerned residents of Westdale, and we were in mediation with the city and McMaster Knightstone over the planned development at the Traymore, Maine, Dalewood, and Forsyth, 1190 Main West. So my question is simple. Do any of these changes on the main campus document, I saw the map and what you sent in, David, in any way apply or relate to the parking requirements as agreed in our settlement with the three parties and the bylaw regarding the parking for that development?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Good job picking that up. No, they don't. This is sort of a greater issue for the university. It's basically removing the requirement for parking for the stadium use, and it's basically double dipping into the parking requirements. So with respect to your question, the answer is no. Those requirements are maintained because that's an off-site and is specifically identified as a separate site than this one. So those parking requirements continue to apply.
That's helpful. I just wanted to clarify because there was something in the bylaw and the agreement where something like 35 out of the 48 or 42 spots that were an either or situation in the building or within 300 meters of the campus. That's why I was asking that question. So those 35 spots are not related to this application. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, they're only related insofar as they are required on the campus lands if they cannot be provided on that undergrad student on the Traymore site, basically. So the short answer is no. This variance application is not impacting those requirements in any way.
Right. And do we know if they're going to be in site or on the campus? Do we know that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, we're still working through that. It appears as though some of them will be on site and underground parking, but the rest of them will be on the campus lands. And there's a specific, it's not to bore the committee, but there's a specific requirement in terms of maximum distance from that site. So those will be all hammered out through the site plan application. And you saw those site plan drawings. We've already met with you, and we're happy to meet with you again to show you where those additional parking spaces will be located.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank
So I guess I'm done then?
You're done.
Okay, that's great.
Good to see
Short
you.
and sweet. Okay, thanks, David, and thanks to the committee.
David, anything more you want to say before I bring it up to the committee?
No, I just want to thank staff for all their work on the file. It's actually been a long slug. We've been working in the background with staff in terms of providing the technical documentation that they require. So we're really thankful with the recommendation, and we're fully supportive. And we hope that you do approve it today. Thank you.
Questions from the committee? Motion? Anyone?
I have Bob making a motion
Bob?
for approval.
Okay, seconder. Tom, all in favor? Opposed? None? Carried? Application approved, hearing adjourned. Okay.
Thanks. Have a great one.
All right, and we are all set for the next file. So we're hearing HMB 2290 for 122 Florence Street. We have the agent registered to speak as well as 2 interested parties.
Are you here for Florence Street? Are you neighbors?
Yeah, neighbors.
Come on up, grab those 2 seats. May I have the name of the applicant, please? Is the applicant here?
Sorry, you're just muted.
Yep, I'm James Thomas. I'm speaking on behalf of the owners and
You have to speak up, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Great. My name is James Thomas from AJ Clark and Associates. I'll be speaking on behalf of the applicants of the file.
Okay, so we have 2 interested parties here. I'd love to hear what they have to say, and perhaps you can respond. If you wish to speak, either of you, we need your name and address for the record, and you're free to make comments, and you have to press the little face with the thing coming out before you speak. You got it, the red light.
Hi, my name is Jill Detlor, and I live at 9 Tom Street, and my house is directly behind the house or the severance in consideration. So I think first of all, I've never been to a committee of adjustment, and I learned a little bit about you. My question would be, do you make a decision around land severance in the context of what's going to happen on that land? Or do you make that in isolation and then the building department or somebody else goes on to, do you pass that on? That was my one question.
Typically, on the standard application, yes, that's the case. People separate the land and then they have to go through the process to get permits, ask for variances, et cetera, et cetera. But there are circumstances where it's in conjunction with something that's already ongoing, in which case that would be addressed. But at this point, it's just looking at whether or not it's prudent to allow a severance that would keep in line with the fabric of all the other lots on the street, and that's where we're at right now. So do you have any concern other than your question?
No, that answers that. And the other thing is, if they're going to be tearing down, there is a large 3-car garage behind my property. And if they're going to tear that down, are they going to that will then open up my yard? Do they have to put up some sort of fencing so that my yard remains safe?
I don't think there's any way to force that, but the typical procedure is people put up fences in order to make their house secure and marketable. So.
Okay. And do we know that 2 buildings are going to be going in that spot if the severance is granted? Do we know that now?
No, we do not know that.
We do not know that now. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you wish to speak? Name and address?
Hi, I'm Melanie Froese. I live at 11 Tom Street. I also back onto that 3.
Yeah, we have a little map, so we.
Yeah, good enough. And my questions were similar, was that, A, is it possible to get notice when the driving shed comes down? I have 5 small children, and it is right in our yard, so knowing when that comes down for safety purposes, and then also the idea of what's going to be put up in its place by the person doing that tearing down.
Typically, you would know, but since the person bringing this application has hired one of the more reputable and better engineering companies, I will ask at this point that you tell your client to notify the people at 9 and 11 when they are going to do something because they have children and they're good neighbors. Would you be prepared to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll make sure that the owner and ourselves are on top of things for you.
Okay, any comments you wish to make, Mr. Thomas?
No, in general, we're happy with the comments and that staff is supportive of it. We do have 2 items of particular detail that we wanted to address with the comments. It's not as easy as Matt Johnson from Urban Solutions today. First and very simple, as we're undertaking an OLS survey of the subject lands presently, we'd just like to ensure that the measurements on the notice of decision include the important plus minus to allow for possible measurement adjustments moving forward. Right now, I noticed on the notice for this meeting that the depth was missing the plus minus on there. We just want to make sure that all measurements have that plus minus so that we can have some wiggle room.
Is that something we can do?
Yes, that's something we
okay.
can do.
And you're the surveyor, so you should be able to take care of that.
Yeah, I'll go talk down to Nick in just a second.
Okay.
Second is condition 9, as written in the consolidation report. It states that an archaeological assessment is to be complete on the lands. We note that development planning under archaeology on page 3 states the property meets 3 of the 10 criteria. Now, typically the second paragraph of this condition, the part that starts, should deeply buried archaeological materials be found, that MHSTCI be notified. We just normally have that as a note in the approval.
Yes. Well, so you're asking that we change that to a note, which is relatively standard in a developed, built-up area. So I'm sure that can be changed to a note. Should any of the committee members who bring the motion?
Just like that, I will make a motion for approval with those 2 things taken care of.
Yeah, the note.
The note.
Seconded, Tom, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Sorry, David, are you opposed? Oh, okay. Sorry.
So if the decisions could be sent to number 9 and 11, and if you could please let the applicant know in advance for the kids' sakes when they're going to be tearing anything down.
Yeah, I just want to make sure to clarify that condition 9, the requirement for an archaeological assessment will be removed.
Yeah, no, it's a
No,
note.
it's going to be moved to a note. The motion was that it was changed to a note.
Yeah. So you find a sarcophagus while you're digging, then you have to report it, but otherwise you're fine.
Yeah, it's only been there for a little while.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Hearing
you.
adjourned.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. All right, and we are all set for the next file. So we are hearing ANB 2287 for 1584 Power Line Road West in Ancaster. We have the agents registered to speak, and as well as the owners and purchasers, and no other interested parties.
Okay, so all 3 of you are here on behalf of this in favor of it. None of you are here in objection to it. Who is the primary speaker here? Your name?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ruchika Angrish from the Angrish Group, and I am a professional planner acting on behalf of the owner as well as the buyer.
Okay, did you read the comments?
I did, yes.
Are you happy with what you read or anything of concern?
No, we have read the comments. We understood the conditions of approval, and we are happy with staff's position on it.
Questions from the committee? Vern?
Move it.
Okay. Seconder?
I'll second.
Tom, all in favor? Opposed? None? Application approved, hearing adjourned. So you do your homework in advance, they're quick, so that's what we like it. We caught right up, this is amazing.
All right, and we are all set for the next file. So we are hearing FLA 22276 for 685 concession for West and Flamborough. We have the owner registered to speak and no other interested parties.
Name for the record, please. Beautiful. Now, did you read all of these comments?
I did.
And you probably didn't like what you read.
No, I was hoping mine goes as quick as theirs.
Well, it could be, but not in the way you like it.
That's right.
Did you want to proceed, or did you want to perhaps table it to speak to these departments to see if they can soften their position and then bring it back.
I would like to try to do that, yes.
That's probably a good idea.
Yes.
So what you do is you request a tabling. You don't have to reapply or repay. You can speak to the departments, discuss it with them, and perhaps when it comes back, they'll soften their concerns. And then at that time, you can articulate how you want to proceed.
I'll move the table.
Okay, seconder, Nancy, all in favor? Opposed, carried. We'll see you hopefully in the not too distant future.
So I'll get a new date then?
You know, what happens is when you've done what you've done
Yeah.
and hopefully softened it, you call the committee office and have them put on the next agenda.
Okay.
If you can't soften them, you still want to come and try to persuade us,
Right.
then we'll still listen and still might work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll probably see if I can lower by a meter and then hopefully that works. Okay. Perfect.
So you have a very friendly dog. All he wants to do is.
You got that right. Yes, he does.
And
Soon as he's not ready to go to the ball.
we haven't adjourned the meeting just
I know.
yet. Okay.
I'm just tidying up. I'm not going to run. Okay, guys, hearing's adjourned. And if, okay, thank you.